Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or another qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or before undertaking any new diet or weight loss program. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have seen or heard in this presentation. It's 2 in the morning. The house is silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. You're lying in bed, bathed in the cold blue light of your phone screen, and you're scrolling. You're deep into that rabbit hole we've all been down. A fitness influencer with impossible abs is holding up a shaker bottle. A pop-up app promises you can melt away belly fat with this one weird trick. You see before and after photos that look just a little too perfect. Keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, cabbage soup diet. A new program that promises to hack your metabolism. The names change, the faces change, but the promise is always the same. Fast, easy, and final. And with every scroll, a familiar feeling sinks into the pit of your stomach. It's a toxic cocktail of hope and despair. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this is the one. This is the secret you've been missing. And despair because you know deep down you felt this hope before. You felt it when you bought that gym membership in January. You felt it when you cleared out your pantry and bought $100 worth of clean foods. You felt it when you downloaded that calorie counting app and swore this time it would be different. And every single time life happened. A stressful week at work. A family emergency. A birthday party. The sheer grinding exhaustion of trying to be perfect 100% of the time. The motivation sputtered, the willpower cracked, and the weight came back. And with it came the guilt. The shame. The quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head that whispers, "You failed. Again. It's your fault. You just don't have what it takes." I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. That voice is lying. You are not a failure. You are not weak. You do not lack willpower. You are a human being who has been systematically set up to fail by a predatory, multi-billion-dollar industry that profits from your confusion and depends on your repeat business. The American weight loss industry is not in the business of solutions. It's in the business of selling temporary fixes. It's a revolving door brilliantly designed to spin you around with a dizzying burst of initial success, only to spit you back out onto the street a few months later, a little lighter in the wallet and often heavier on the scale, ready to buy the next ticket for the next ride. They sell you meal plans that are so restrictive, so divorced from the reality of a normal American life, that they are functionally impossible to maintain. They give you workout routines designed for athletes, not for a 45-year-old parent with a full-time job, a mortgage, and 2 kids who need to get to soccer practice. They prey on your desire for a quick fix, promising you can lose 20 pounds before your cousin's wedding next month, knowing full well that the methods required to do that are not only unsustainable but often metabolically damaging, making it even harder to lose weight in the future. They sell you a destination, a number on the scale, a dress size, a flat stomach, but they never ever give you the map or teach you how to drive the car. They just sell you a tank of gas, wish you luck, and wait for you to run out of fuel on the side of the road so they can sell you another tank. This cycle ends today. Right here. Right now. This video is not another diet plan. It is not a list of good foods and bad foods. It is not a 30-day challenge. This is an intervention. This is your blueprint. This is the education you were never given. Over the next several minutes, we are going to dismantle the entire weight loss trap piece by piece. I am going to give you 5 critical non-negotiable things you must look for in any US-based weight loss program. These 5 pillars are the filter through which you will see every ad, every influencer, and every new fat diet from this day forward. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to spot a fraudulent, unsustainable program from a mile away. You will be armed with the knowledge to walk away from the quick fixes and, for the first time, identify a path that is built for real, lasting, lifelong change. We're not just talking about losing weight. We are talking about ending the war with your body. We are talking about reclaiming your energy, your confidence, and your peace of mind. Why should you listen to me? Because I've lived it. I've stood in front of that mirror, pinching at my sides, feeling that same sense of frustration and hopelessness. I've bought the programs, drank the shakes, and counted the almonds. And I've spent years of my professional life studying the science, yes, but more importantly, studying the psychology of why people succeed and why they fail. I've seen firsthand with hundreds of people what actually works in the real world. Not in a lab, not on a reality TV show, but in the chaotic, messy, beautiful reality of modern American life. And I can tell you the difference between the 5% who succeed long-term and the 95% who are trapped in that cycle comes down to the 5 principles we are about to cover. These aren't secrets. They are fundamental truths that the diet industry actively ignores because they can't package them into a 30-day fix. You can't sell a magic pill for this. This is about changing the entire game. So if you're tired of the scrolling, if you're done feeling guilty, if you are ready to finally get off the hamster wheel and build something that lasts, then you are in the right place. We are going to stop looking for magic and start looking for math. We're going to stop chasing motivation and start building systems. We are going to turn you from a consumer of weight loss products into a master of your own health. The first thing we need to look for is arguably the most important, and it's the one element that nearly every mainstream program gets catastrophically wrong. It has nothing to do with food and everything to do with your brain. It's the silent foundation upon which all lasting success is built, or all failure is guaranteed, and understanding it will change everything. So let's talk about the number one thing to look for in a US-based weight loss program. I call it psychological sustainability. It's a term you probably won't see on their flashy landing pages, because it's not as sexy as melt 30 pounds in 30 days. But it is the only thing that actually matters in the long run. Imagine this. You've had a brutal week at work. Your boss is breathing down your neck, the kids have been acting up, and you're running on about 4 hours of sleep. You get home, and the first thing you see is a sink full of dishes. You're exhausted, you're stressed, and you're hungry. You open the fridge. You see the pre-prepped grilled chicken and steamed broccoli you were supposed to eat. It looks sad. It looks like one more chore on a day full of chores. But then, on the counter, you see the flyer for the local pizza place. 2 large, 1 topping, $424.99. Your brain does a quick, desperate calculation. The effort of microwaving that chicken, chewing that dry broccoli, and then cleaning the container versus the instant, cheesy, glorious relief of just making a phone call. In that moment, what wins? It's not a fair fight. It's a knockout in the first round. Pizza wins. And as you're eating that third slice, a familiar voice kicks in. The voice of shame. You failed. You have no willpower. You'll never lose the weight. You might as well finish the whole pie. Your diet's ruined anyway. Start again on Monday. Does that sound familiar? That entire scenario has almost nothing to do with your knowledge of calories or macronutrients. It has everything to do with your psychological framework. The vast majority of weight loss programs in the United States are built on a foundation of sand. They are built on the myth of infinite willpower. They give you a strict set of rules. Eat this, not that. Count every calorie. Work out 6 days a week, no excuses. And for a week, maybe 2, you can do it. You're motivated. You're running on pure, unadulterated willpower. You're a soldier. But willpower is not a personality trait. It's a battery. And every single decision you make throughout the day drains that battery. Choosing to be patient in traffic? That costs a little battery. Dealing with a difficult coworker? That costs more. Resisting the donuts in the break room? A huge drain. By the time you get home to that sad-looking chicken, your willpower battery is at 1%. The pizza isn't a temptation. It's a power surge. It's the easiest decision you can make at the end of a day filled with hard ones. A weight loss program that doesn't acknowledge this fundamental truth of human psychology is setting you up to fail. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Because when you fail, who do you blame? Yourself. You think, the program was good, I was weak. And then, 6 months later, you might even pay to try it again. It's a brilliant business model, but a terrible model for human health. So, the first thing you must look for is a program that focuses on building your mental architecture, not just testing your willpower. How do you spot this? First, look at the language they use. Are they talking about habits? Or are they talking about rules? Rules are fragile. They are external. They are things you force yourself to follow. Habits are automatic. They are internal. They are simply who you are. You don't use willpower to brush your teeth in the morning. You just do it. It's a habit. A great program will teach you the science of habit formation. It will guide you in building tiny, almost effortless routines that stack up over time to create massive change. It's about making the healthy choice the easy choice, not the hard one. For example, instead of a rule like, you must work out for 1 hour every day, a habit-focused program might say, for the first week, your only goal is to put on your workout clothes and stand by the front door for 2 minutes. That's it. You don't even have to leave. It sounds ridiculous, right? But what it does is it short-circuits the part of your brain that screams, "I don't have time for an hour-long workout." It builds the initial habit of just starting, which is always the hardest part. Eventually, standing by the door feels silly, so you walk around the block. Then that becomes a habit. Then you start jogging. It's a staircase, not a cliff face. Second, does the program address the all-or-nothing mindset? That voice that tells you to eat the whole pizza because you already had one slice? This is a cognitive distortion, a glitch in your thinking. It's the perfectionist trap. A world-class program will have dedicated tools, coaching, or resources to help you dismantle this way of thinking. It will teach you self-compassion. It will teach you that one off-plan meal is not a failure. It's just a single data point in a long and successful journey. It's about consistency, not perfection. It teaches you how to get back on track at the very next meal. Not next Monday, without the guilt and shame that fuels the binge and restrict cycle. Third, and this is the most important part of psychological sustainability, does the program help you shift your identity? This is the end game. Most programs want you to be a person who is on a diet. This is a temporary, painful state of being. You are defined by what you can't have. A truly transformative program helps you become a person who is healthy. It's a subtle shift in language, but it's a seismic shift in identity. A healthy person doesn't cheat on their diet. They might choose to indulge in a piece of cake at a birthday party because it's part of a vibrant, balanced life. A healthy person doesn't force themselves to go to the gym. They move their body because it feels good and they value their strength and energy. The motivation comes from within, from a place of self-respect, not from a desire to punish your body into a smaller size. So when you're looking at a program, ask yourself, are they giving me tools to manage my stress without turning to food? Are they teaching me how to build habits so I don't have to rely on a battery of willpower that dies by 7 p.m.? Are they helping me reframe my thinking so that one slip-up doesn't become a week-long slide? Are they helping me see myself not as a dieter, but as a healthy, capable person in the making? Look for programs that include mindset coaching, access to behavioral therapists or psychologists, a supportive community that talks about more than just recipes, and educational content on the psychology of eating. These are not fluffy add-ons. They are the core components of a system that actually works in the real world. A world of stressful jobs, messy kitchens, and delicious, tempting pizza. Finding a program that builds this psychological foundation is the single most important step. It's the difference between renting your results and owning them for life. Because when your mind is on your side, the physical changes become the easy part. They become an inevitable consequence of your new identity. But let's say you do it. You find a program with incredible psychological support. They help you build your mental fortress. You're ready, but then they hand you the meal plan. And it's the exact same plan they gave to the 25-year-old marathon runner and the 55-year-old postmenopausal office worker. This is where we hit the second great filter, the one that separates the generic cookie-cutter programs from the ones that deliver truly elite results. It's the reason why a diet that worked wonders for your friend might do absolutely nothing for you. And it's all about a concept your doctor probably never even mentioned. This concept is called bioindividuality. It's a simple but profound idea. There is no one-size-fits-all diet or weight loss plan because every single one of us is a unique biological system. Your body is not the same as your neighbors, your spouses, or that fitness influencers on Instagram. Your unique genetics, your hormonal balance, your gut health, your history of stress, your sleep quality. All of these factors create a metabolic fingerprint that is yours and yours alone. This fingerprint dictates how you process food, how you store fat, and what your body needs to thrive. Ignoring this is like a mechanic trying to fix a high-performance Porsche using a repair manual for a Ford pickup truck. The basic principles might seem similar, they both have engines, they both have wheels, but the specifics are wildly different. Using the wrong manual will, at best, do nothing. At worst, it will cause serious damage. This is what happens when you follow a generic weight loss plan. You're using the wrong manual for your unique engine. You're told to just eat less and move more. A brutally simplistic instruction that completely ignores the complex hormonal and metabolic symphony happening inside your body. It's why you can follow a diet to the letter, count every single calorie, exhaust yourself at the gym, and still see the scale refuse to budge or even worse, go up. It's not a failure of willpower. It's a failure of strategy. You're playing a game without knowing the rules for your specific body. So this brings us to the very first, non-negotiable thing you must look for in any US-based weight loss program worth its salt. And that is comprehensive diagnostic testing. I'm not talking about stepping on a scale or using a tape measure. That's measuring the symptom, not the cause. I'm talking about a deep scientific dive under the hood to see what's actually going on with your unique metabolism and hormones. A truly elite program doesn't guess, it tests. It replaces frustrating guesswork with concrete data. Before they ever give you a single piece of advice about what to eat or how to exercise, they should require a comprehensive blood panel. This isn't just a nice to have. It is the fundamental cornerstone of any personalized and effective plan. So what should this testing include? Let's get specific because this is the kind of information that can change your life. First, a complete thyroid panel. And I mean complete. Most doctors will only test for TSH, or thyroid-stimulating hormone. But this is just a signaling hormone from your brain. It doesn't tell you how much actual thyroid hormone is available for your cells to use. It's like checking if the light switch is on without checking if the bulb is working. You need to see free T3 and free T4, the active hormones that actually run your metabolism. You can have a normal TSH and still have low active thyroid hormone, a condition called subclinical hypothyroidism that affects millions of Americans, especially women, and it acts like a permanent brake on your metabolism. It causes fatigue, brain fog, and stubborn weight gain, especially around the middle. Without this data, you're flying blind. Second, a deep look at your hormonal health, particularly as it relates to blood sugar and stress. This means testing for fasting insulin and hemoglobin A1C. Your fasting glucose might be normal, but your fasting insulin could be sky high. This is a huge red flag for insulin resistance, the #1 driver of weight gain and metabolic disease in the United States. When your cells are resistant to insulin, your body can't effectively use the sugar from your food for energy. So what does it do? Stores it as fat. You can be eating salads all day, but if your insulin is high, your body is physically locked in fat storage mode. It's a hormonal prison. Testing for this is critical. Alongside this, you need a cortisol test. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. In our chronically stressed 24/7 world, many of us are running on elevated cortisol all the time. This tells your body you're in constant danger, leading it to store fat, especially visceral belly fat, and break down muscle tissue. No amount of crunches will fix a cortisol problem. Third, a check for key nutrient deficiencies, specifically vitamin D, vitamin B12, and a full iron panel. A vitamin D deficiency, incredibly common in the US, is linked to insulin resistance and weight gain. Low B12 and low iron can cause debilitating fatigue, making it feel impossible to even think about exercising, let alone have the energy to cook a healthy meal after a long day. These aren't minor details. They are fundamental pieces of your metabolic puzzle. Now, contrast this with what 99% of weight loss programs out there offer. They take your height and weight, plug it into a BMI calculator, an outdated and often misleading metric, and spit out a generic calorie target, usually 1,200 or 1,500 calories. They give you a list of good foods and bad foods and send you on your way. They have no idea if your thyroid is sluggish. They have no idea if you're severely insulin resistant. They have no idea if your cortisol is through the roof from stress. They are giving you the Ford pickup truck manual for your Porsche engine, and then when it doesn't work, they subtly or not so subtly imply that you just didn't try hard enough. Let me tell you a story about a client of a program that did this right. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was in her late 40s and had been fighting the same 40 pounds for over a decade. She'd done it all: low-carb, low-fat, calorie-counting apps, boot camps, juice cleanses. Each time she'd lose maybe 5 or 10 pounds through sheer white-knuckled effort, only to feel exhausted, deprived, and eventually gain it all back, plus a little extra. She was convinced her metabolism was just broken, and that this was her fate. Her doctor told her her blood work was fine, and that she just needed to eat less. Finally, she joined a program that insisted on comprehensive lab work before she even started. She was skeptical but desperate. The results came back and it was a revelation. Her TSH was technically in the normal range, but it was on the high end, and her free T3 was at the absolute bottom of the range. She had subclinical hypothyroidism. Her fasting insulin was more than 3 times the optimal level, a clear sign of significant insulin resistance. And her vitamin D was critically low. For the first time, Sarah saw that her struggle wasn't a moral failing. It was a biochemical reality. The program didn't just put her on a 1,200 calorie diet. Instead, they built a plan specifically to address her lab results. They designed a nutrition plan rich in specific nutrients to support her thyroid and reverse her insulin resistance. No more low-fat snacks, but plenty of healthy fats and protein to keep her blood sugar stable. They recommended targeted supplements like a high-quality vitamin D, and selenium for thyroid conversion. They even adjusted her exercise, swapping her punishing, cortisol-spiking cardio sessions for more strength training and long walks to help manage her stress. And for the first time, the weight started to come off without a battle. She wasn't starving. Her energy levels soared. The brain fog she thought was just part of getting older lifted. In 6 months, she lost the 40 pounds, but more importantly, she felt like she had gotten her life back. She had the right manual for her engine. That is the power of data. It transforms the conversation from one of shame and blame to one of strategy and empowerment. So when you are evaluating any program, your first question should be, do you do comprehensive blood testing before creating my plan? If the answer is no, or if they offer a flimsy optional test, you walk away. Because any program that doesn't insist on seeing what's under your metabolic hood isn't serious about getting you lasting results. They're just selling you another generic map and hoping you find your way out of the woods. But getting the data is only half the battle. A stack of lab reports is useless without the right system to interpret it and, more importantly, to act on it. In fact, most programs that do offer testing make a critical mistake right here. A mistake that renders all that valuable data completely worthless. And that brings us to the second and arguably most important thing you need to look for. A mistake that they treat your body like a static photograph instead of a dynamic, constantly changing movie. They take one snapshot of your biology on day one blood test, one metabolic reading, and they build an entire rigid 6-month plan based on that single moment in time. They hand you this beautifully printed, personalized plan and say, here you go. Follow this and you'll succeed. And for the first few weeks, maybe even the first month or two, it works like magic. You're dropping pounds, you feel incredible, you think you finally cracked the code. But then it happens. The wall. The dreaded plateau. The scale doesn't just stop moving. It might even creep back up a pound or two. And suddenly, that perfect plan feels like a prison. You're doing everything right, but getting zero results. This isn't just a frustrating experience. It's the design failure point of almost every single weight loss program in America. Let me tell you about a woman we'll call Sarah. Sarah was 42, a mom of 2, and had been battling the same 40 pounds since her last child was born. She decided to go all in on a high-end, science-based program. They did the whole 9 yards. Comprehensive blood panel, hormone tests, the works. A week later, she got her plan. It was tailored to her. It said she was low in vitamin D, slightly insulin resistant, and that her body responded better to fats than carbs. So her plan was lower carb, higher in healthy fats, with specific supplements. For 6 weeks, it was a dream. The weight melted off. She dropped 15 pounds. Her energy was through the roof. She was a walking billboard for this program. But then, around week 7, the scale froze. For a week, nothing. Then another. She got frustrated and cut her calories even more. Doubling down on the plan. She started feeling tired, irritable. Her cravings for the very carbs she was told to avoid came roaring back with a vengeance. She called her coach at the program, who just told her to trust the process and push through it. By week 10, after a month of no progress and feeling miserable, she gave up. She binged on pasta and bread, gained back 8 pounds in a weekend, and felt like a complete and utter failure. But Sarah didn't fail. The program failed her. It failed because it gave her a roadmap for a country that no longer existed. The Sarah on day 1 was not the same Sarah on day 45. Here's what the program didn't tell her. When you lose a significant amount of weight, your body doesn't just celebrate with you. It panics, thinks you're starving in the wilderness. It activates a powerful, ancient set of survival mechanisms called metabolic adaptation. It's a brilliant system for keeping you alive during a famine, but it's an absolute nightmare for modern weight loss. First, your resting metabolic rate, or RMR. The number of calories you burn just by being alive plummets. And it doesn't just drop because you weigh less. It drops disproportionately. Someone who weighs 180 pounds naturally will burn more calories at rest than someone who has dieted down to 180 pounds. Your body becomes hyper-efficient. It learns to run on fewer calories. So that 1,800 calorie diet that was creating a deficit at 200 pounds is now your new maintenance level at 180 pounds. The weight loss grinds to a halt. But it gets worse. Your hormones stage a full-blown rebellion. Leptin, the hormone that tells your brain, hey, we're full and satisfied, goes down. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone that screams, feed me, goes up. So not only are you burning fewer calories, you are biologically, chemically, hungrier and less satisfied than ever before. This is not a lack of willpower. This is your biology fighting back with everything it's got. Sarah's program, by giving her a static plan, sent her into this biological war zone completely unarmed. They never planned for the adaptation. They never adjusted the strategy. They just told her to trust the process, while her own body was actively sabotaging that very process. Think about it like this. A static weight loss plan is like printing out directions from MapQuest in 2004. You get a single fixed route from point A to point B. If the roads are clear and everything goes exactly as planned, you might get there. But what happens when there's an unexpected traffic jam? A road closure? A massive accident? The printed directions are now useless. You're stuck. The second thing you must look for in a weight loss program is a system that functions like Waze or Google Maps. It's a dynamic and adaptive system. It doesn't just give you a starting route. It monitors your progress in real time. It sees the traffic jam, the metabolic slowdown, the hormonal shifts 5 miles before you hit it. And it intelligently reroutes you. It says, okay, your metabolism is slowing down. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to slightly increase your complex carbohydrates around your workouts to boost your thyroid hormone and upregulate your metabolism. We're going to swap some of your steady-state cardio for high-intensity interval training to create a bigger metabolic afterburn. It adapts the plan to your current biology, not the biology you had 2 months ago. A static plan is a photograph. An adaptive system is a live video feed. You need the live feed. So the second non-negotiable is this. The program must have a structured process for retesting and adapting. This is the difference between a program that sells you a diet and a program that manages your physiology. You need to ask them directly. What is your protocol for adjusting my plan as I lose weight? How often do you reassess my biometrics? Do you do follow-up blood work? Do you track changes in my metabolic rate? If they can't give you a clear, confident answer, run. A world-class program will have scheduled check-ins where they reevaluate everything. They might not need a full blood panel every month, but they should be tracking key markers. They should be monitoring your subjective feedback, your energy levels, your hunger, your sleep quality, your cravings, because these are the canaries in the coal mine. They signal that a hormonal shift is happening before it shows up on the scale. And based on this constant stream of data, they make small, precise adjustments. Maybe it's adding 20 grams of protein to your breakfast. Maybe it's introducing a strategic refeed day, once a week, where you intentionally eat more calories to signal to your body that the famine is over, which can help normalize leptin and ghrelin levels. It's a constant, intelligent dance with your body, not a brutal head-on fight. They work with your metabolic adaptation, not against it. This dynamic approach is the engine of sustainable weight loss. It's what allows you to navigate the inevitable plateaus and keep making progress without feeling deprived or exhausted. It ensures the plan evolves as you evolve. So we have our first 2 pillars. Number 1, a foundation of deep, personalized data, not just guessing. Number 2, a dynamic, adaptive system that uses that data in real time to adjust your plan, like a GPS for your metabolism. If you find a program with just these 2 things, you are already in the top 1%. You've solved the biological puzzle. But there's a third piece, and honestly, it's the one that trips up almost everyone. You can have the most perfect, personalized, adaptive plan on the planet, a plan scientifically guaranteed to work. But that plan is completely worthless if you can't execute it in the chaos of your real life. What happens when your boss dumps a project on you at 5 p.m.? Or your kid gets sick? Or you have to travel for work and live out of a hotel for a week? The science is one thing, but human psychology is another. The best programs in the world understand that providing a plan is only half the battle. The other half, the part that determines long-term success or failure, is building the psychological and logistical scaffolding that allows you to follow that plan consistently. And that brings us to the third thing you absolutely must look for: a robust, multi-layered support system. And I need you to hear me on this. This isn't a nice-to-have. It isn't a bonus feature. This is a non-negotiable, mission-critical component of any program that is serious about your long-term success. Trying to lose weight and keep it off by yourself is like trying to build a house in the middle of a hurricane with nothing but a hammer and a handful of nails. You might get a few walls up on a calm day, but when the storm of life hits, a stressful week at work, a family emergency, a holiday season, that structure is coming down. A support system is your crew. It's your architect, your engineer, and your construction team, all working to make sure your foundation is solid and your walls can withstand the weather. In the United States, we have this powerful, almost mythical belief in rugged individualism. the idea that we should be able to do everything ourselves to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. We see asking for help as a sign of weakness. But when it comes to changing something as deeply ingrained as our relationship with food and our bodies, that mindset is a recipe for failure. It's not weakness to ask for help. It's a profound act of strength and strategic intelligence. It's recognizing that this battle is too important to fight alone. So what does a robust, multi-layered support system actually look like? It's not just a generic Facebook group or an automated weekly email. It's a three-tiered structure of professional guidance, peer community, and relentless accountability. Let's break down that first layer: professional guidance. This is your access to the experts. And I mean real experts. First, look for a program that gives you access to a registered dietitian or RD. In the US, the term nutritionist can be used by almost anyone with an internet connection and a weekend certificate. A registered dietitian, on the other hand, is a legally protected title. It means they have a bachelor's degree, completed a rigorous supervised practice program, passed a national exam, and are required to maintain continuing education credits. They are the real deal. They can look at your medical history, your blood work, your lifestyle, and help you create a plan that is not only effective but safe. They can navigate food allergies, medical conditions like POTS or diabetes, and help you understand the science of your body. Relying on a generic nutritionist is like hiring a guy who watched a YouTube video on plumbing to fix your burst pipes. You need a licensed professional. The second part of this professional layer is access to certified fitness professionals. People who can help you move your body in a way that feels good and gets results without causing injury. This is especially critical if you're just starting out, have old injuries, or are significantly overweight, which puts different stresses on your joints. A great program will have experts who can modify exercises for you, ensuring you're building strength and confidence, not just pain and resentment towards the gym. And the third, and arguably most important professional, is the behavioral health specialist. This could be a therapist, a psychologist, or a certified health coach who specializes in the psychology of eating. This is the person who helps you with the why. Why do you reach for ice cream after a bad day? Why do you sabotage your progress right when you start seeing results? They use proven techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, to help you identify the thoughts and beliefs that trigger self-destructive behaviors. They give you the tools to rewire your brain, so that you're not just fighting against your urges, but fundamentally changing them. This is the deep work. This is the work that lasts. Now for the second layer of support, which is just as powerful: a curated peer community. And the key word there is curated. You don't want a massive, unmoderated online forum filled with judgment, bad advice, and diet dogma. That's just noise. You want a community of people who are on the same program, following the same principles, and who are guided by professionals. This is your tribe. This is where the magic happens. It's the late-night post where you admit you're struggling with cravings, and within minutes, 5 people respond with "I've been there," and share a strategy that actually worked for them. It's celebrating someone's 5-pound loss and feeling their joy, which in turn fuels your own motivation. It's the shared experience of navigating a family barbecue or a work pizza party. Suddenly, you're not the weird one turning down the cake. You're part of a team that gets it. This kind of connection short-circuits the shame and isolation that so often come with a weight loss journey. It normalizes the struggle and amplifies the successes. It turns a lonely battle into a shared mission. Finally, we have the third layer: relentless accountability. This is the structure that holds you up when your own motivation falters, because trust me, it will. Willpower is a finite resource. Accountability is the external system that kicks in when your internal battery is dead. So what does good accountability look like? First, it's regular, meaningful check-ins. Not just stepping on a scale and reporting a number. It's a dedicated time with a coach or a group to review your week. What went well? What was a challenge? What's the one thing you're going to focus on for the next 7 days? This creates a rhythm of reflection and forward planning. Second, it's integrated tracking tools that are simple and easy to use. The program should make it almost effortless to log your food, your workouts, or your daily habits. The very act of tracking creates a powerful feedback loop. It removes the guesswork and forces you to be honest with yourself. You can't improve what you don't measure. And third, the gold standard of accountability is on-demand support. This is the ability to send a quick message to your coach when you're standing in the grocery store, wondering which yogurt to buy, or when you're feeling an emotional eating binge coming on. Having a real human being you can reach out to in that critical moment can be the difference between staying on track and derailing for the rest of the week. So when you're evaluating a program, ask these questions. Do I get to talk to a registered dietitian, or just a vaguely titled coach? Is the community a moderated, supportive space, or a chaotic free-for-all? Are the check-ins personalized? Or am I just a number on a spreadsheet? Is there someone I can contact in a moment of crisis? Be wary of the red flags. The support that's just an AI chatbot sending you generic motivational quotes. The program that shames you for a bad week instead of helping you learn from it. The community, that's just a sales platform for the company's supplements. Your success will not be determined by how perfect your plan is, but by how well you're supported when you inevitably fall off that plan. Because you will. Everyone does. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not that the successful people never stumble. It's that they have a system and a team of people who help them get back up, dust themselves off, and take the next step over and over again. Finding a program with this three-tiered system of professional, peer, and accountability support isn't just a good idea. It's the only way to ensure the changes you make are the changes that last a lifetime. Now, even with the best plan and the best support, there's a giant invisible trap that derails millions of Americans every single year. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how weight loss actually works, and it's a concept that most programs completely fail to address. Getting this next part wrong is like trying to drive from New York to California with a map of Europe. You'll be putting in the effort, but you'll be heading in the completely wrong direction. And that brings us to the fourth critical thing you must look for: a deep foundational focus on behavioral psychology. Now, that might sound complicated, like something you'd need a PhD to understand, but it's actually the simplest, most human part of this entire equation. And it's the single biggest reason that over 95% of diets fail long-term. Think about it. Almost every weight loss program in America focuses on the what. What to eat, what not to eat, what exercises to do. They give you lists, plans, and schedules. They give you the car, the fuel, and the destination on the GPS. But they completely ignore the driver. They ignore you. Your mind, your habits, your emotions, your stress, your life. The truth is, you don't have a knowledge problem. You already know that a donut is less healthy than a salad. You know that going for a walk is better than sitting on the couch. This isn't about a lack of information. This is about a lack of implementation. It's about the gap between what you know you should do and what you actually do when you're tired, stressed, and life gets messy. Let me tell you about a client I once worked with. We'll call her Jessica. Jessica was the classic yo-yo dieter. For 20 years, she'd been on a roller coaster. She'd done the low-carb craze, the low-fat obsession, the cabbage soup diet, the meal replacement shakes, you name it, she'd tried it. And every single time, the story was the same. She'd start with incredible motivation. She'd clear out her pantry, buy all the healthy foods, and follow the plan to the letter. She'd lose 10, 15, even 20 pounds. She'd feel amazing. Her clothes would fit better, people would compliment her, and she'd think, "This is it. I finally cracked the code." But then life would happen. A high-pressure deadline at work would lead to a week of sleepless nights. Her son would get sick. She'd have an argument with her husband. And in that moment of emotional turmoil, the carefully constructed plan would crumble. She wouldn't be thinking about macros or calories. She'd be thinking about comfort. She'd be driven by an impulse that was forged over decades of habit. And she'd find herself, almost as if on autopilot, in front of the fridge or pantry, eating ice cream straight from the carton or finishing a family-sized bag of chips. The next morning, the guilt would set in. Shame would follow. She'd think, "I've failed again. I have no willpower. What's wrong with me?" And that feeling of failure would lead to more emotional eating, and within a few weeks, all the weight she'd lost would be back, often with a few extra pounds as a cruel souvenir. Jessica's problem wasn't the food. It wasn't the exercise plan. Her problem was that none of those programs ever taught her how to handle life. They never addressed the root cause of her eating. The stress, the anxiety, the need for comfort. They tried to change her plate without ever trying to understand her mind. A world-class, US-based weight loss program understands that your body and mind are not separate entities. They are intrinsically linked. It doesn't just hand you a meal plan. It gives you a mental toolkit. It focuses on cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT techniques. This is the science of understanding the connection between your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So what does this actually look like in a program? It looks like coaching that goes beyond the scale. A great coach won't just ask, "Did you stick to your plan this week?" They'll ask, "How was your week? What were your stress levels like? What challenges came up, and how did you navigate them?" They help you become a detective in your own life. They help you identify your triggers. For example, do you always crave snacks around 3 p.m. at work? A basic program would say, eat a rice cake instead. A behaviorally focused program would ask, why do you crave that snack? Are you actually hungry? Or are you bored? Are you procrastinating on a difficult task? Are you looking for a mental break? Once you identify the real cue, the boredom, the procrastination, you can start to build a new, healthier routine. Instead of reaching for the vending machine, maybe you take a 5-minute walk around the office. Maybe you listen to your favorite song on your headphones. Maybe you chat with a coworker for a few minutes. You're still getting the reward, the mental break, the dopamine hit, but you've replaced the unhealthy routine with a positive one. You are literally rewiring your brain. This is the difference between white-knuckling your way through a diet and effortlessly living a healthy lifestyle. Willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets tired. You can't rely on it to fight off cravings 24/7, especially when you're stressed or exhausted. Habits, on the other hand, are automatic. They run on autopilot and require almost no mental energy. The goal of a great program is to help you build a system of healthy habits that eventually become as automatic as brushing your teeth. A program with a strong psychological foundation will also teach you critical skills for emotional regulation and stress management. This isn't just fluffy, feel-good stuff. It's a biological necessity for weight loss. When you're chronically stressed, your body pumps out a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol increases your appetite, specifically for high-fat, high-sugar foods. It tells your body to store fat, particularly around your midsection, the dangerous visceral fat. So, a program that doesn't give you tools to manage stress is ignoring a massive biological driver of weight gain. Look for programs that integrate things like guided meditations, mindfulness exercises, journaling prompts, or even just simple breathing techniques. These aren't just add-ons. They are as essential as the nutrition plan. Finally, a behavior-first approach completely reframes the concept of failure. In the old diet world, eating a piece of cake at a birthday party is a failure. It's a reason to feel guilty and, for many, a reason to give up entirely. This is called all-or-nothing thinking. It's the idea that you're either on the diet or off the diet. A psychologically informed program demolishes this toxic mindset. It teaches you that one piece of cake is just one piece of cake. It's a single data point. It's not a moral failing. It's not the end of your journey. The program gives you the mental framework to say, okay, I enjoyed that. It was a conscious choice. Now, what's my next healthy decision? It teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to get back on track immediately, without the downward spiral of guilt and shame. It's about progress, not perfection. So when you're evaluating a program, ask these questions. Does it talk about mindset? Does it offer coaching that addresses my habits, my emotions, and my stress? Does it provide tools to help me understand why I eat, not just what I eat? Does it have resources for managing real-life challenges? If the program is just a collection of menus and workout videos, you're only getting a tiny piece of the puzzle. You're getting the map of Europe. You need the program that understands the driver, the one that knows the real journey isn't measured in pounds on a scale, but in the sustainable, positive changes you make in your mind. But even with the best map and the best mindset, that drive from New York to California can get incredibly lonely. And that loneliness is often the final silent saboteur that sends people careening off the road. So, how do we build a support system that's as strong as our new habits? That's the fifth and final piece of the puzzle, and it might be the most important one of all. Ness is often the final silent saboteur that sends people careening off the road. So, how do we build a support system that's as strong as our new habits? That's the fifth and final piece of the puzzle, and it might be the most important one of all. It's the human element. It's the one thing that no app, no gadget, and no perfectly portioned meal delivery box can ever replace. We are social creatures. We thrive on connection. Yet, for some reason, when we embark on one of the most challenging personal journeys of our lives, weight loss, we often try to do it in complete isolation. We treat it like a secret, a private battle fought behind closed doors. Think about it. It's 10 p.m. The house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep. The stress of the day is sitting on your chest like a lead blanket, and the pantry is calling your name. That bag of chips, that sleeve of cookies, it's not just food. It's a comfort, a release valve. In that moment, who is there to talk you down? Who is there to remind you of your goals, not with judgment but with understanding? For most people, the answer is nobody. There's just the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the loud voice of temptation in your head. Or what about the day after you slip up? You went to a party, you had a piece of cake or three, And now you're drowning in guilt. You feel like a failure. You think, I've ruined everything. I might as well just give up. This is the critical moment, the fork in the road where most journeys end. Without a support system, that feeling of failure festers. It becomes proof that you can't do it. And let's be honest, the support from well-meaning friends and family can sometimes make it worse. Your aunt who says, "Oh, just have a little bite, it won't hurt." Your friend who lost 20 pounds on a fad diet and is now an expert, telling you that you're doing it all wrong. They mean well, but they don't get it. They don't understand the mental chess match you play every single day. This isolation is why people quit. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a lack of support. So, when you're evaluating a US-based weight loss program, the fifth non-negotiable thing you must look for is a robust, multi-layered support system. And I don't just mean a forgotten Facebook group with 10,000 members and a post from 3 weeks ago about a low-carb bagel. I mean real structured human support. This breaks down into two critical categories: professional guidance and peer community. First, let's talk about professional guidance. This is your brain trust, your team of experts. A great program doesn't just hand you a plan and wish you luck. It gives you access to the people who created the plan. This should include, at a minimum, registered dietitians or certified nutritionists. This is so much more important than people realize. You're going to have questions. You're going to hit plateaus. You're going to wonder if the keto-friendly ice cream you bought is actually derailing your progress. Having an expert you can ask directly is a game changer. Imagine you've been following your plan perfectly for 3 weeks, but the scale hasn't budged. You're frustrated and ready to throw in the towel. In a program without real support, you're on your own. You might Google weight loss plateau and get a million contradictory answers. But in a great program, you can message your assigned nutritionist. You can say, "Here's exactly what I've been eating. What's going on?" And she might look at your food log and say, "Ah, I see the problem. That healthy green smoothie you're having for breakfast has more sugar than a can of soda because of the mango and banana. Let's swap that for a protein-focused smoothie with berries and spinach and see what happens." That one tiny, expert-led course correction can be the difference between quitting and breaking through to the next level of success. This professional team should also ideally include certified personal trainers or exercise physiologists. They can help you modify exercises for an old knee injury, design a workout you can actually do in your living room, and make sure your form is right so you're not wasting your time or worse, hurting yourself. And here's the component that the best, most modern programs in the US are now including: mental health support. Access to therapists or coaches who specialize in behavioral change. Because let's face it, our relationship with food is deeply emotional. We eat when we're stressed, sad, bored, or even happy. A program that ignores the why behind your eating habits is only addressing half the problem. Having a professional who can help you develop new coping mechanisms for stress that don't involve a pint of ice cream is not a luxury. It's essential for long-term success. Now for the second half of the support equation, the peer community. If the professionals are your brain trust, the community is your foxhole. These are the people who are in the trenches with you. There is a profound, almost magical power in the words, "Me too." To share a struggle, "I have zero motivation to work out today," and have 5 people immediately respond with, "I feel the exact same way, but let's do a quick 15-minute walk together," is life-changing. It erases the shame and isolation. A powerful community becomes a living library of shared wisdom. Members share recipes that actually taste good. They share tips for navigating a holiday buffet. They recommend a brand of protein powder that doesn't taste like chalk. They become your accountability partners. It's much harder to skip a workout when you know you're going to check in with your group later. It's a positive pressure that keeps you moving forward. But here's the crucial part. You have to learn to spot a fake community from a real one. This is where so many programs fall short. So here are the red flags to watch for. Red flag number 1. The community is just a giant, unmoderated forum or Facebook group. It's chaotic, posts get lost, and it's full of spam or bad advice. It's a ghost town masquerading as a community. Red flag number 2. Toxic positivity. You know the type. Every post is good vibes only. And anyone who dares to admit they're having a hard day gets shut down or ignored. Real life has ups and downs, and a healthy community creates a safe space to talk about both. Red flag number 3. It's hyper-competitive and judgmental. People are constantly posting about their massive weight loss numbers in a way that feels like bragging, and there's a subtle shaming of those who are moving slower. That's not support. That's a high school cafeteria. So what are the green flags? What does a genuinely supportive community look like? Green flag number 1. It's actively moderated. There are dedicated community managers, real people employed by the program, whose job it is to facilitate conversation, answer questions, and ensure the space remains safe and encouraging. Green flag number 2. It offers multiple ways to connect. It's not just a message board. Look for programs that offer live, weekly group coaching calls on Zoom. Look for live Q&As with the dietitians and trainers. The more opportunities for real face-to-face or voice-to-voice interaction, the stronger the community will be. Green flag number 3. They celebrate more than just weight loss. A great community celebrates non-scale victories. Someone posts, "I had the energy to play with my kids at the park for an hour straight." Or, "I declined the office donuts today without feeling deprived." And the group goes wild with support. This reinforces the idea that success is about building a healthier life, not just chasing a number. And finally, green flag number 4. The structure of support is crystal clear from the beginning. Before you sign up, you should be able to answer these questions. Do I get a dedicated one-on-one coach? How often can I contact them? What are their qualifications? Is there a group I'll be a part of? How often does that group meet? If the answers are vague, be wary. In our American culture of rugged individualism, asking for help can feel like a weakness. We're taught to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. But when it comes to changing something as fundamental as your health, that mindset is a trap. The smartest, strongest thing you can do is surround yourself with a team of experts to guide you, and a team of peers to support you. This human element is the glue. It's what holds everything else, the nutrition plan, the exercise, the habit tracking, together. It's what transforms a lonely, frustrating struggle into a shared, empowering journey. It's the difference between a diet that lasts for a few weeks and a lifestyle that lasts for the rest of your life. The right program doesn't just sell you a plan. It welcomes you into a family. And that brings us to the fourth and arguably the most crucial element to look for in a US-based weight loss program. It's the one component that separates temporary results from permanent transformation. We've talked about the science, the sustainability, the community, but all of that is external. It's the support structure around you. Now, we need to talk about the battle that happens inside you. The best programs in the world understand that weight loss isn't just a physical challenge. For most of us, it is a profound psychological one. So, the fourth thing to look for is a program with a deep, integrated focus on behavioral psychology and mindset coaching. Think about it. How many times have you known exactly what you were supposed to do? You had the meal plan. You had the gym membership. You knew that the salad was the good choice and the double cheeseburger was the bad one. You had all the information in the world. And yet, after a long, stressful day, you found yourself in the drive-through lane anyway. Why? The problem wasn't a lack of information. The problem was what was happening between your ears. Most weight loss programs are fantastic at giving you the what. They give you the what to eat and the what to do, but they completely fail to address the why. Why do you eat when you're not hungry? Why do you turn to food for comfort when you're stressed, or bored, or sad? Why do you sabotage your own progress right when you start to see results? These are the questions that define the journey. And any program that doesn't help you find the answers is just putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. It's treating the symptom, the excess weight, without ever touching the root cause. Let me tell you about someone we all know. We'll call her Jessica. For a decade, Jessica was a yo-yo dieter. She'd done the low-carb craze, the juice cleanses, the pre-packaged meal deliveries. And every single time it worked for a while. She'd lose 10, 15, even 20 pounds. Her clothes would fit better. She'd feel a surge of confidence. But then life would happen. A project at work would get incredibly stressful. An argument with her partner would leave her feeling emotionally drained. And in those moments of pressure, her carefully constructed diet plan would crumble. It would start with one small thing. A handful of chips from the office vending machine. Then, feeling like she'd already messed up, she'd order a pizza for dinner instead of cooking the healthy meal she'd planned. That pizza would be followed by a pint of ice cream, eaten directly from the carton while standing in front of the open freezer. A ritual of shame and comfort all rolled into one. The next morning, she'd wake up feeling bloated, guilty, and defeated. The thought of getting back on the wagon felt impossible. The "I'll start again on Monday" narrative would kick in, and Monday would turn into a week, then a month of falling back into old habits. Jessica wasn't weak. She wasn't lazy. She was trapped in a psychological loop that no diet plan alone could ever break. A truly elite weight loss program would have approached Jessica's situation completely differently. It wouldn't have just handed her a list of approved foods. It would have helped her become a detective of her own mind. It would have helped her identify the core issues at play. First, it would tackle emotional eating head-on. It would teach her to pause and ask herself in that moment of craving, am I physically hungry, or am I feeling something else? It would help her recognize that her trigger wasn't hunger. It was stress. It was anxiety. It was a feeling of being overwhelmed and needing a quick, reliable source of comfort. Then, instead of just saying don't eat the chips, the program would help her build a new toolkit of coping mechanisms. Maybe it's a 5-minute walk around the block to clear her head. Maybe it's putting on headphones and listening to her favorite song. Maybe it's a quick call to a friend. It's not about using willpower to white-knuckle your way through a craving. It's about understanding the craving source and elegantly rerouting that emotional energy to something that serves you, rather than sabotages you. Second, a great program would help Jessica dismantle her all-or-nothing mindset. This is the perfectionist trap that so many of us fall into. The belief that one mistake, one bad meal means the entire day or even the entire week is a total failure. It's a catastrophic way of thinking that turns a small stumble into a complete collapse. A psychologically informed program teaches you to reframe this. It helps you see that one slice of pizza isn't a failure. It's just a slice of pizza. It's a single data point in a journey of thousands of choices. Imagine you're driving from New York to Los Angeles. If you take one wrong exit in Ohio, do you just give up, abandon the car, and decide the trip is ruined? Of course not. You look at the map, you get back on the highway, and you keep going. A good program teaches you to treat your health journey the same way. It replaces the voice of judgment with a voice of curiosity and course correction. It's about consistency, not perfection. And third, the most advanced programs go even deeper. They help you unearth the limiting beliefs that have been running the show from your subconscious for years. These are the deep-seated narratives we tell ourselves. Beliefs like, I'm just not the kind of person who can be thin. Or, I come from a family of heavy people, it's just my genetics. Or the really insidious one, I don't deserve to be happy and healthy. These beliefs act like an invisible anchor, constantly pulling you back to your starting point, no matter how hard you try to swim away. A program that incorporates principles from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, can be life-changing. It gives you the tools to identify these toxic thoughts as they arise, to challenge their validity, and to systematically replace them with new, empowering beliefs. It's the process of rewriting the very code that governs your behavior. It's realizing that your past does not have to be a predictor of your future. You are not defined by your last diet attempt. You are defined by the choice you make right now. This is the difference between renting a solution and owning your transformation. A program without a psychological component is like renting. You're following someone else's rules, living in their structure, and the second you stop paying, or in this case, the second you stop following the plan to the letter, you're right back where you started. A program with a psychological component is like building your own house. Teaches you the architecture of your own mind. It gives you the blueprint for your own habits. It hands you the tools to build a foundation so strong that it can withstand the storms of life. You're not just losing weight. You are fundamentally changing your relationship with food, your body, and yourself. You're ending the war. You're learning how to make healthy choices feel like the most natural thing in the world, not because a piece of paper tells you to, but because you've become the person who makes those choices. It's the ultimate key to freedom. It ensures that the results you achieve aren't just for the summer, but for the rest of your life. And this brings us to the fourth, and arguably the most misunderstood, pillar of a successful weight loss program. It's the one thing that our American ideal of the rugged individual, the self-made person who pulls themselves up by their own bootstraps, actively works against. And that is the absolute, non-negotiable need for genuine support and community. Let's be brutally honest for a second. We've all been sold a lie. The lie is the transformation montage. It's the hero, alone in his dark apartment, deciding to change. It's the shot of him training by himself at 5 a.m., sweating, grinding, pushing through the pain with nothing but sheer, unadulterated willpower. We see him turning down pizza, running in the rain, and then boom, he emerges on the other side, chiseled and victorious, all by himself. It's a great story. It's inspiring. And for 99.9% of people, it is a complete fantasy. The brutal truth is that willpower is a battery, not a virtue. It depletes. It runs out. You can have the strongest willpower in the world, but if you have a bad day at work, a fight with your spouse, a sick kid, and a stressful commute, your willpower battery is going to be flashing red by the time you get home. And what happens then? That's when the old habits, the easy path, the tub of ice cream calls out to you. Relying on willpower alone to navigate a weight loss journey is like trying to cross the Pacific Ocean in a rowboat with no radio. You might be strong, you might be determined, but one good storm and you're lost at sea. A world-class weight loss program understands this fundamental human truth. It knows that you are not a robot. It knows you are a social creature, wired for connection. For millions of years, our survival depended on the tribe. We hunted together, we protected each other, we learned from each other. Being isolated was a death sentence. And while we're not running from saber-toothed tigers anymore, that ancient wiring is still there. Your brain craves connection and support, especially when you're doing something difficult and challenging, like fundamentally changing your relationship with food and your body. This is why the fourth thing to look for is a program with a built-in, expertly guided community. And I'm not talking about a link to a chaotic, unmoderated Facebook group with 50,000 members where people just post inspirational quotes and argue about keto. That's not community, that's a crowd. A crowd can quickly turn into a mob. A real community is a lifeline. It's your secret weapon. Think about it this way. When you try to lose weight alone, every single struggle is yours and yours alone. You have a bad day and eat half a pizza. Who do you talk to? No one. You feel shame, you feel guilt. You think, I've failed. I'm a failure. I might as well eat the other half. That shame festers in silence. It becomes a monster in the dark that tells you you're not good enough, that you can't do this. Now, imagine that same scenario inside a supportive community. You have a bad day, you eat half a pizza. But instead of spiraling into shame, you post in your private group or message your coach. You say, guys, I had a rough day and went off plan. Feeling pretty down about it. And what happens next is pure magic. Within minutes, you get replies. Not judgment, not criticism. You get empathy. You get, oh my gosh, Sarah, I did the exact same thing last week. Don't beat yourself up. You get, hey, it's just one meal, not a whole journey. What's one healthy thing you can do right now to get back on track? You get, remember that when you had on Tuesday? You're still that person. This doesn't erase your progress. Suddenly, the shame evaporates. The monster in the dark is gone because someone turned on the light. The event, eating the pizza, is the same, but the outcome is completely different. Instead of quitting, you feel understood. You feel supported. You dust yourself off, drink a glass of water, and you're right back on your path. That is the power of community. It's an emotional shock absorber. It takes the catastrophic failures that would normally derail you and turns them into small, manageable bumps in the road. But it's not just about damage control. A great community is also an engine for acceleration. It's a shared brain. Someone discovers a new low-calorie recipe for a killer chili. They share it. Someone finds a brand of Greek yogurt that tastes amazing. They share it. Someone figures out a great way to handle cravings in the afternoon. They share it. You are no longer relying solely on your own limited knowledge and experience. You are tapping into the collective wisdom of dozens, or even hundreds of people who are on the exact same journey as you are. It's like getting a cheat code for success. So, how do you tell the difference between a real valuable community and a cheap marketing gimmick? You have to become a detective. Here are the green flags to look for. The signs of a truly supportive ecosystem. First, is it moderated by experts? A community without a guide is just the blind leading the blind. There should be qualified coaches, dietitians, or trainers actively participating in the group. They should be answering questions, correcting misinformation, and steering the conversation in a productive direction. If it's just a member-run free-for-all, you're likely to get as much bad advice as good. Second, what is the tone of the community? Scroll through the posts. Is it overwhelmingly positive and supportive? Do people celebrate each other's wins, big and small? Do they celebrate non-scale victories like having more energy to play with their kids, or fitting into an old pair of jeans? Or is it full of complaints, negativity, and competition? A toxic environment that focuses only on the number on the scale or fosters a sense of who's losing faster can be more damaging than no community at all. You want a culture of collaboration, not competition. Third, does it offer structured support? A great program won't just throw you into a forum and hope for the best. Look for things like weekly group coaching calls on Zoom, where you can ask questions live. Look for smaller, more intimate accountability groups. Look for challenges and shared goals that bring everyone together. This structure provides regular touchpoints that keep you engaged and connected. It's the difference between having a bunch of gym members who never speak to each other and being on a sports team with a coach and a shared playbook. And finally, is the support proactive? Does a coach reach out to you if they notice you haven't checked in for a while? Is the system designed to catch you when you're starting to slip? Or does it wait for you to fail and ask for help? The best US-based programs are now using technology and personal coaching to create a safety net. They know that the people who go silent are often the ones who need the most help. A program that actively looks out for you is a program that is truly invested in your success, not just your monthly subscription fee. Choosing a program with the right community is like choosing your allies for a difficult quest. Going it alone is noble but foolish. Surrounding yourself with a crowd of negative or misinformed people is a recipe for disaster. But finding that tribe, that group of people who lift you up, who share your struggles, who celebrate your victories, and who have an expert guide leading the way, that changes everything. It transforms weight loss from a lonely, miserable battle of willpower into a shared journey of growth and empowerment. It's the secret ingredient that makes the healthy habits stick, that makes the identity change real, because you start to see yourself as part of a group of healthy, vibrant people. You belong. And that feeling of belonging is one of the most powerful forces for change on the planet. But even the most powerful force for change needs a destination. A community can hold you up, it can cheer you on, but the ultimate goal of any truly great weight loss program isn't to make you a permanent member of their club. It's to give you the tools, the confidence, and the skills to eventually walk out their door and never need them again. This brings us to the fifth and, in my opinion, the most crucial and most frequently overlooked sign of a world-class program: a clear path to independence. Think about it. What is the business model for so many weight loss companies? It's repeat customers. It's a subscription. It's a membership. It's selling you their prepackaged food, their proprietary shakes, their branded supplements month after month, year after year. The system is designed, sometimes intentionally, to create dependency. They give you a fish every day, but they hide the fishing pole and charge you a premium for the delivery service. The moment you stop paying, the fish stop coming, and you're left hungry and unsure of what to do next. This is the silent tragedy of the yo-yo dieter. It's not a failure of willpower. It's a failure of the system they trusted. Let me tell you about a woman I once worked with. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah had joined one of those big, nationally recognized programs, and she crushed it. She was their poster child. She followed their point system religiously. She ate their frozen meals. She lost 60 pounds in 9 months. She felt incredible. Her friends and family were amazed. But then she hit her goal weight. She decided she was done. She canceled the subscription, and a terrifying silence fell over her life. The daily structure was gone. The app no longer told her what to do. The boxes of food stopped arriving. She walked into a grocery store and felt a wave of anxiety she hadn't felt in almost a year. She knew the point value of a prepackaged lasagna, but she had no idea how to build a healthy lasagna from scratch. She knew which of their snack bars were approved, but she didn't know how to read a nutrition label to find a healthy alternative on her own. She knew how to follow their plan, but she had never been taught the principles behind the plan. Slowly, old habits crept back in. A stressful day at work led to a pizza, because she didn't have the mental energy to figure out a healthy meal. A weekend trip with friends threw her completely off, because she didn't have the skills to navigate a restaurant menu. Within 18 months, Sarah had regained 65 pounds. She felt more like a failure than she did before she even started. But she didn't fail. The program failed her. It treated her like a child who needed to follow rules, not an adult who needed to learn skills. It gave her a temporary result, but it robbed her of her autonomy. A truly exceptional program is designed with its own obsolescence in mind. Its primary goal is to make you so successful, so knowledgeable, and so confident that you no longer need to pay them. Their ultimate success is your permanent independence. This process usually looks like a phased approach. Phase 1 is the structure phase. This is where you need the hand-holding. You're overwhelmed, you're tired of making bad decisions, and you just want someone to tell you what to do. A great program provides that. It gives you clear guidelines, meal plans, simple rules. It takes the decision fatigue out of the equation so you can just focus on execution and build some initial momentum. This is the what. But then critically, it moves you into phase 2, the skill-building phase. This is where the magic happens. The program starts to slowly transition from telling you what to do to teaching you how to think. They educate you on the fundamentals of nutrition, Not in a boring textbook way, but in a practical, applicable way. You learn about protein, fiber, and blood sugar. You learn how to build a satisfying meal that keeps you full for hours. You learn simple cooking techniques. You learn how to read a food label like a pro. You learn strategies for navigating social events, holidays, and vacations. The coaching shifts from directive to collaborative. Instead of just giving you a meal plan, your coach asks you, "Okay, let's try to build next week's plan together. What's on your schedule? What foods do you love?" They are actively teaching you how to fish. Finally, you enter phase 3, the autonomy phase. By now, you've internalized the principles. You're confidently making your own choices. You're creating your own meals. You're handling challenges without panicking. The program's structure fades into the background. It becomes a safety net, not a crutch. The coaching becomes a check-in, a source of accountability and fine-tuning, but you are the one in the driver's seat. You've graduated. You've built the skills and the identity of a healthy person who is in control of their own well-being. So when you're vetting a program, you need to ask them this one critical question. What is your plan for me after I reach my goal weight? How do you prepare me to maintain my results for the rest of my life without your service? Listen carefully to their answer. If they get vague, if they talk about a lifetime membership, or just switching you to a maintenance plan that still requires their products or their app, that is a giant red flag. They're telling you they plan on you being a customer for life. But if they talk about education, skill building, phased-out support, and empowering you with the tools for lifelong autonomy, you may have found a winner. So let's bring it all home. We've covered the 5 pillars of a program that doesn't just change your weight, it changes your life. First, you look for a program that measures success beyond the scale. One that helps you build a new identity by focusing on the powerful, non-scale victories that truly matter. Second, you anchor that journey in science, not trends. You choose a program built on the bedrock of evidence-based principles that have stood the test of time, protecting you from the dangerous and ineffective fads that flood the market. Third, you seek professional and personalized guidance. You find a true partner in a qualified expert who sees you as an individual and tailors their approach to your unique biology, psychology, and life. Fourth, you immerse yourself in a supportive community. You harness the incredible power of belonging, surrounding yourself with people on the same path who celebrate your wins and lift you up when you stumble. And fifth, you demand a clear path to independence. You choose a program whose ultimate goal is to make you so capable and confident that you no longer need them, setting you up not for a quick fix, but for a lifetime of freedom. Notice the pattern here? This isn't a checklist for finding a diet. This is a blueprint for personal transformation. It's about shifting your entire relationship with food, with your body, and with yourself. The goal isn't to find a program that will fix you. The goal is to find a program that empowers you to become the person who no longer needs fixing. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, you need the training wheels. That's the program's initial structure. Feels safe, it keeps you from falling. Then, a parent comes along and takes them off, but they hold onto the back of the seat, running alongside you. That's the coaching and the community. They're providing stability and encouragement as you learn to balance on your own. But the whole point of the process, the moment of true magic, is when they let go. There's a terrifying, wobbly second where you think you're going to fall, but then you don't. You find your balance. Your legs are pumping, the wind is in your face, and you are moving forward under your own power. You are free. That is the entire point. The best programs aren't selling weight loss. They're selling that moment. The moment they can let go. Knowing you have everything you need to ride on your own for the rest of your life. So the question you should be asking isn't just, which program can help me lose weight? The real question is, who do I want to become on the other side of this journey? And which of these programs looks like the best partner to help me get there?